Spider-Man has countless variants across the multiverse. Some are scary, some are cool, and some are funny. But the animated film Into the Spider-Verse did a good job of introducing audiences to some of the most beloved. The film's sequel, Across the Spider-Verse, looks set to introduce us to even more multiversal variants of the character, with several of the webbed wall crawlers showing up in at least cameo appearances. Welcome to Top 10 Nerd. I'm Andrew Boyd, and today we will be talking about the top 10 Spider-Men we want in Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. I guess a more accurate title would be the Spider-Man that I want, but hey, SEO's got a SEO. Let's swing into action, starting with number 10, the Spider. Even Peter Parker's most lethal multiversal counterparts tend to be vigilantes who have decided to start killing their enemies, which, considering how many mainstream universe Marvel heroes kill people, isn't that bad, even if it does feel weird coming from Spider-Man. However, the Earth 15 version of Peter Parker shows just how brutally effective an evil Spider-Man would be. This Peter was a sociopath who used his spider powers to become a serial murderer. He got even worse when he bonded with the Carnage symbiote, racking up quite the body count before he was eventually captured and sentenced to 67 consecutive life sentences. I don't think it's the route they'll take in the upcoming Spider-Verse movie, but if they keep the franchise going for a while, I think a fun element could be a multiversal Sinister Six comprising of the most twisted and evil versions of Spider-Man from across the various Marvel universes. Number 9. Spider UK. First appearing in Edge of Spider-Verse number 2, Billy Braddock was a member of the Captain Britain Corps until he discovered a plot by the villain Morlun to kill all the various Spider-Men to steal their life forces. He was charged with finding and protecting the Spider-Men and helping them fight the Inheritors. He was often depicted as the leader of the Spider-Men, but it looks as though this role has been given to Spider-Man 2099 in the new film. Despite this, I hope Braddock gets a chance to have more than just like a background cameo. It'll make his demotion a little easier for him to swallow. Number 8. Spider-Man. On Earth 11,580, Peter Parker was taking a tour of a lab that was conducting radiation experiments on a colony of spiders. Peter fell into the spider habitat and was promptly devoured by the spiders. In an odd twist of fate not dissimilar to the villain Swarm, the spiders absorbed Peter's consciousness and became a hive mind that formed together to masquerade as a human and fight crime, thus becoming Spiders-Man. Spiders-Man fought crime for a time, but soon developed a taste for human flesh. The spiders managed to hide this for a time and were recruited by the superior Spider-Man in his multiversal quest to defeat the villainous Inheritors. He eventually betrayed Otto by joining forces with the Norman Osborn Spider-Man of Earth 44,145 to try and destroy the Web of Life. This plan failed, but Spiders-Man did manage to spread his spiders across the multiverse, giving him a foothold in every different reality. With so many heroic Spider-Men being featured in the Spider-Verse films, it could be a really cool change of pace to see some of the worst versions of the character in order to contrast the heroes, and I think Spiders-Man would be a great place to start. Number 7. Zombie Spider-Man. Marvel's Zombies is pretty self-explanatory. It takes place on an alternate Earth where the heroes of the Marvel Universe have been infected with a zombie virus. They retain much of their intelligence and personality, but they are so consumed with hunger that they are willing to go to any lengths to get their next meal. In the one-shot comic Dead Days, we are shown the last days of the human race, as well as all of our favorite heroes becoming the cruel monsters that we see in Marvel Zombies. One of the most disturbing moments from this comic is Spider-Man returning home after having been bit and being unable to stop himself from attacking and eating both Mary Jane and his Aunt May. He's an interesting character as he balances his hunger and the cruelty that comes with it alongside his lingering guilt over what he has done, with him being one of the most human of the zombies, with an interesting arc over the course of the various Marvel Zombie stories. His story is so dark and violent that I doubt he'll ever show up in any meaningful way in the animated children's film, but sometimes the heart wants what the heart wants. Number 6. Ghost Spider. A Peter Parker from an alternate dimension who travels the multiverse with the help of his Uncle Ben, stealing the power of other Spider-Men in order to better defend his universe. The Amazing Spider Peter, as he called himself, eventually kidnapped the Spider-Man of Earth 616 and brought him to his universe. When Spidey learned of his misguided alternate's plan, he managed to convince him that what he was doing was wrong. Although evil Uncle Ben tried to kill the mainstream Spider-Man, the Spider gave his life to save the Peter of Earth 616. The Spider was brought back to life by his universe's Doctor Strange and turned into Ghost Spider. We have yet to see this Ghost Rider Spider-Man variant in action, but the mere idea of Spider-Man being granted the demonic powers of the Ghost Rider in addition to his spider powers sounds like a total powerhouse, and seeing him tear up the screen would be cool as hell. Number 5. Spider-Hulk. In Web of Spider-Man number 70, Peter got zapped by a device that had stored some of the Hulk's energy. This caused Spider-Man to develop the powers of the Hulk, turning green and angry after being chewed out by J. Jonah Jameson. It was a short-lived transformation, with Spidey managing to get a hold of the machine that had given him the powers and reversing its effects, but for an entire issue, we got to see a massive Hulk-like figure in the Spider-Man tights web-swinging through New York. This isn't a character that I need to be a main player in a Spider-Verse movie, but tell me it wouldn't be kind of fun to see a Spider-Hulk meandering around in the background, or trying to support his massive frame while web-slinging. Number 4. Spider-Man 1602. This Elizabethan take on Spider-Man was the squire to Sir Nicholas Fury before being released from his service and being bitten by a spider that had been exposed to a portal's temporal energies. He became known as the Spider, fighting crime in the 1600s with all the powers of the traditional Spider-Man, plus being able to make his own organic webbing. He eventually fell to the multiversal villain Morlun in a fight at the Globe Theatre. Honestly, the main reason I want to see this Spider-Man is his look, with the fun collar and the 1600s just overall vibe. I think he'd stand out amongst the sea of Spider-Men that were being shown, and I hope he pops up when we see the movie. Number 3. Japanese Spider-Man. In the 70s, Marvel licensed the webbed wall crawler to a Japanese company so they could make their very own Spider-Man TV show. This adaptation was a bit loose with the source material. In this version, Spider-Man was really a motocross driver named Takuya Yamashiro who began getting telepathic messages from an alien from the planet Spider. He was injured and the alien saved his life by giving him a spider bracelet and spider extract, which gave him his powers. He also has a giant robot that he can control called the Leopardon, as well as a flying car. This version of Spider-Man was weird, but to Western audiences, this version of the character probably would have remained an odd footnote in the character's history, but rarely brought up or talked about. However, the character was referenced when he made a brief appearance in the comics in Amazing Spider-Man Volume 3, number 12, as one of the Spider-Verse members. This caused a lot of Japanese fans to react positively, and he became a more consistent character in the Spider-Man comics. I think that with so many Spider-Men appearing in the Spider-Verse movies, they run the risk of kind of blurring together. So having a Spider-Man who rides around in a 200-foot alien robot would be a good way to be distinct while touching on a rarely talked about chapter of Spider-Man's history. Number 2. The Superior Spider-Man. One of Spider-Man's oldest foes, first appearing in Amazing Spider-Man number 3, Dr. Otto Octavius was a gifted scientist before the 4 mechanical arms he created to help him with his experiments were fused to his body, driving him insane and into a life of crime. Doc Ock actually did eventually become a superhero when he swapped bodies with Peter Parker and chose to become the Superior Spider-Man. Although still a temperamental egomaniac, Octavius was able to do a lot of good as the new webbed wall crawler, eventually even sacrificing his life so that Peter could regain control of the body and save the day from the Goblin King. Having one of Peter's oldest enemies interact with the other Spider-Men while genuinely trying to become a better person would be a really cool addition to any multiversal Spider-Man story, and if he doesn't show up in this film, I hope he will show up in the next one. Number 1. Hostess Spider-Man. In the mid-70s, anytime you would open a comic book, you would usually find a short one-page comic strip midway through the book that was really an advertisement for Hostess products such as the Twinkie. The format was usually the same, with the hero facing off against a villain and then getting them to surrender or somehow defeating them with the power of a Hostess Twinkie cake. A lot of heroes got in on this trend from both Marvel and DC Comics, and and Spider-Man was no exception. He used Twinkies as a ransom to rescue his Aunt May, as a bribe to convince a goon who had him captive to set him free, and of course, he stopped a few robbers who were trying to steal various Hostess products. The dialogue in these ads are insane, with one featuring a thug surrendering saying, "Ah, we can't get away with it. Drop your gun. We never should have tried anything so evil as to rob a store, especially of Twinkies. I'll never do it again." And Spider-Man responding, "You can say that again. There are too many good people just waiting to enjoy that golden sponge cake with creamy filling inside. What could be more delicious than Hostess Twinkies?" Almost anything, Spider-Man. Almost anything. These ads made a fun comeback in Spider-Verse #1, where the villain Morlun goes to this universe to feast on Spider-Man's life force. Spider-Man tries to get out of the situation by offering him some golden sponge cakes instead, but Morlun isn't swayed and ends the life of this Hostess-obsessed Spider-Man. Considering that he has shown up, if only briefly, in Spider-Verse comics, I would love for him to be one of the characters featured in the movie. I want to see him trying to carry on a conversation with the other Spider-Men and constantly going off on tangents about the delicious products that Hostess has to offer. Any other Spider-Men who you are hoping show up in the upcoming Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse movie? Let us know in the comments below, and remember to like and subscribe for more Top 10 Nerd.